Rolling up the sleeves of her white coat, Amy checked her watch. 7 in the morning. Her night shift was ending. The morning light was beginning to stream into the pediatric ward of Phoenix General Hospital. "Good work, Wilson," called out her colleague Kate, holding a disposable coffee cup. Amy gave a slight nod in response. Even in her tired expression, there was a dignified beauty about her. "You know, your mother came up in conversation yesterday," Kate continued with interest. "She used to teach at that prestigious Phoenix Academy, right? I hear she's quite the figure now in the Paradise Valley Women's Circle." Amy gave a vague smile. The topic of her mother Martha always stirred complicated emotions in her. "I heard she's really involved in charity work. Wasn't she quite active as vice president at that recent Desert Botanical Garden fundraiser?" The phone at the nurse's station saved Amy from having to respond. As she headed to her final task of the night shift, she sighed inwardly. In her 7 years as a nurse, she had dealt with many lives. Yet somehow, the distance between her and her own family had grown wider. In the modest but tidy living room of her apartment, her 8-year-old son Noah was working on his homework alone. He was a handsome boy with well-defined features from his father and gentle eyes. "Mom, I figured out this problem." Amy turned around from preparing dinner at her son's voice. In his still small back, she saw shadows of her late husband. Since the car accident 3 years ago, this child's smile had been her only support. Supporting 2 people on a nurse's salary of $4,000 a month was far from easy. Still, her son was an honor student with straight A's. He was her pride. Her smartphone lit up. A social media notification. Opening it, she saw a photo of her mother Martha and her sister Laura's family. Dinner at the upscale restaurant Elon's. Martha was dressed in luxury brands, while Laura wore the latest fashion. It was a perfect shot, typical of Laura with her over 20,000 followers. In the corner of the photo was Laura's daughter Emma's smile. Noah's best friend and classmate. She was a pure-hearted, thoughtful girl. Amy quickly scrolled past. Once, she had been close with her sister Laura. But now, their worlds were too different, with her sister having become a luxury real estate agent earning $150,000 a year. The next day. "Hey, Emma's birthday party is going to be super fancy. Poolside catering? They're renting out the Arizona Biltmore, right? That's amazing." Classmates were talking excitedly in the hallway after school. Noah was changing his indoor shoes alone, slightly apart from the others. With his food allergies, he always had to be careful about his choices. "Noah," Emma approached. She was a kind-eyed girl. She had her father's sincerity. "I'm sorry." No more words were needed. He understood he hadn't been invited. Emma's eyes reflected an awareness of the divide the adults had created. "Here we go. Noah's favorite, macaroni and cheese." Amy called out cheerfully. The aroma of her son's favorite dish wafted through the kitchen. It was a simple dinner, but a precious time for the two of them. Her smartphone vibrated. A message from her mother. "I'm busy preparing for the cruise. Going to make wonderful memories with Laura's family. It's not your world, so don't worry about it." No reply was necessary. Amy put the phone face down and turned back to her son. Let's eat. Outside the window, Arizona's dry wind was whipping up dust. That wind felt like a harbinger of an approaching storm. One afternoon, a phone call rang through the nurses' station at Phoenix General Hospital's pediatric ward. Amy, who happened to be there preparing for the afternoon handover, picked up the receiver. A familiar school name reached her ears. "This is the Phoenix Academy Infirmary." A student fell down the stairs. Amy's hand trembled. The name the school nurse gave was unmistakably her son's. As the details of the accident were related, the image of her son's smiling face from that morning flashed through her mind. "Wilson is conscious, but his pupils are slightly. We've called an ambulance." The moment she hung up, Amy's nursing instincts kicked in. 7 years of experience moved her body automatically. "Kate, please take over my patients quickly. Room 3's 4 is at 4. Throwing off her white coat, she ran toward the emergency center. Her footsteps echoed through the quiet hospital corridor. Though her heart was racing, her expression remained calm. Medical staff had already gathered in the emergency room. A neurosurgeon who had heard the emergency broadcast had also rushed in. Though Amy was barred from entering as a parent, her nurse's eye calmly analyzed her son's condition. The decreased level of consciousness worried her. Suspected subdural hematoma on the right temporal region. Prepare for surgery. The attending physician's voice rang out. Staff in the treatment room began moving swiftly. "Surgery?" Amy asked with a trembling voice. "Yes," Dr. Thompson, the neurosurgeon, approached. He was a gentle doctor with graying hair. "We confirmed bleeding on the CT scan. Emergency surgery is necessary. It's a race against time." His next words hit Amy's heart directly. "There are parts not covered by insurance. We'll need an upfront payment of $30,000 for part of the surgery costs." Amy caught her breath. As a nurse, she knew the reality of the American medical system. Immediate payment was impossible for her. Moving to a corner of the treatment room, she took out her smartphone with trembling hands. She dialed her mother's number. No answer. Again and again. The words "connecting" kept flashing on the screen. The sound of heartbeats echoed in her ears. The clock hands moved mercilessly forward. Finally, on the 10th try, the call connected. "Hello?" Her mother's voice clearly contained irritation. In the background, the sound of clinking champagne glasses and refined laughter could be heard. The elegant atmosphere of what seemed to be a luxury cruise ship's lounge carried through the phone. "Mom. Noah had an accident." "Really now? I'm right in the middle of dinner on the cruise ship." "Don't make such a fuss. You can handle it yourself, can't you?" "But, it's serious, he needs surgery." Amy's voice trembled. Her vision began to blur. "Oh, is that so? Well, it's not our concern. After all, this is the life you chose." Her mother's voice was as cold as ice. Another voice cut in. "Your son. I don't know anything about that. But our Emma is doing just fine. We're in the finest suite here." Laura's shrill voice. Behind it, more toasting sounds rang out. The elegant time on the luxury cruise ship created a discordant note with the hospital's urgent atmosphere. The call was cut off unilaterally. Amy's shoulders shook. The surrounding staff noticed her distress. The fluorescent lights of the treatment room suddenly seemed blindingly bright. "Mrs. Wilson?" Her colleague Kate rushed over. Seeing Amy's expression, she immediately understood the situation. "I'll contact the hospital's emergency loan system. And the social worker too." Amy shook her head, desperately holding back tears. "I'll figure something out." Just then, the treatment room door opened. "Mom." Noah, changed into surgical garments, was brought in on a stretcher. His face was pale, lacking its usual vitality. There was a small wound on his forehead. His uniform was still dusty. "Mom, is Grandma coming?" The faint voice gripped Amy's heart. That innocent question cut even deeper into her heart. "It's okay. Mom's here with you." She gently held her son's hand. She felt an unprecedented strength welling up from that hand. An icy calmness and burning anger. And above all, a strong determination. "Dr. Thompson." Amy stopped the neurosurgeon. "I'll have the surgery costs ready within an hour." The doctor showed a confused expression. Amy looked at her wedding ring on her left ring finger. Platinum with a small diamond. The last gift from her husband. A precious memory. But now, her son's life was more important. "I have a way." Amy's voice was surprisingly steady. The doctor nodded silently. He seemed to understand her determination. In the hallway leading to the operating room, she gently kissed her son's forehead. It was still slightly warm. 3 days after the surgery. Phoenix General Hospital Intensive Care Unit. The morning sun streaming through the window gently illuminated Noah's pale cheeks. While holding her son's hand, Amy listened to the regular beeping of the heart monitor. Though the surgery had been successful, he hadn't yet regained consciousness. "Noah." Suddenly, a girl's voice rang out. Emma rushed into the hospital room with her father Michael. "Aunt Amy." Emma couldn't hide her surprise. "I'm so sorry." Emma was crying, clutching a handmade card. I can't stay quiet anymore." "Emma." Michael placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. His expression showed something like determination. "Tell us. Tell Dad what happened." Emma placed the card on Noah's bedside with trembling hands. "Noah, I'm sorry. Grandma and Mom are the ones who are wrong." "What do you mean?" Michael's voice rang out quietly but firmly. In the hospital waiting room, Emma began to tell her father everything. "Mom always says Aunt Amy is on a different level." Large tears fell from the girl's eyes. "Grandma too, saying those people don't belong in our world." Michael's expression gradually grew stern. "They deliberately don't invite him to parties." Using Noah's food allergies as an excuse, but that's not the real reason. Emma's confession continued. "Mom and Grandma always call Noah that child, and Aunt Amy too. And during the stair accident." Emma's voice trembled. "I saw it. Noah was doing his homework alone, and then, Mom's friends' children." Michael gently embraced his daughter. "Thank you for telling me. Emma, you're an honest child." The waiting room clock ticked quietly. That afternoon, in the executive office of Phoenix Construction Company, Michael stared at his wife's smartphone. Private communication records he would never normally look at. But now, there was a reason he had to see them. The screen displayed the line chat history between Martha and Laura. Amy's son was standing out in class again. That child just can't handle our world. But Emma is handling it well. Keeping an appropriate distance from that child. Yes. The family background is different after all. Scrolling further revealed even worse conversations. Her husband, who died in an accident, was just from a middle-class family after all. It's Amy's fault for making such a marriage. Trying to show off with charity work, it's laughable. Michael's hands trembled. As a corporate executive earning $200,000 a year, he had dealt with many people. But he had never seen such malice before. Immediately, he saved screenshots. Printed them out. Backed them up to USB. Now we have enough evidence. He stood up and called his secretary. Get the car quickly. Phoenix Country Club. A social gathering place for the city's upper class. The usually peaceful clubhouse lounge was wrapped in unusual tension today. This is the reality. Michael presented the gathered evidence before the charity committee members. While collecting donations in good faith, in reality, the venue fell silent. One member stood up. Is this true? Emma Miller, my daughter, testifies to it. Michael's voice carried strength. And these messages, all preserved as evidence. The room's atmosphere froze. Furthermore, Michael presented new evidence. On the cruise ship, a phone call about a child needing emergency surgery. No need to continue the words. The expressions in the room told everything. That night, the first tweet was posted. No one had predicted it. That this single post would become the beginning of a storm that would shake Phoenix's upper society. As the fountain at the Desert Botanical Garden quietly sprayed water, the truth spread surely. Under the mask of elegant society, a new story had begun to move. December 20th. The luxury cruise ship, a Queen of Paradise, quietly docked at Miami port. Among the disembarking passengers, Martha and Laura still hadn't grasped the situation. Pulling their luxury brand suitcases, they were still basking in their final memories aboard the ship. It was a wonderful vacation, Martha said contentedly. Now I'm filled with new energy for the Christmas charity event. However, on their way to the taxi stand, they began to notice something strange about the surrounding gazes. Those people. Laura looked anxiously at her mother. They're pointing at us. The moment they turned on their smartphones, their expressions froze. Hundreds of unread messages. Countless missed calls. And a storm on social media. In the taxi heading to Martha's mansion, she said with a trembling voice. This is a misunderstanding. We never. The driver gave them a cold look through the rearview mirror. Ma'am, I apologize, but I can't drop you off in this area. Why? Due to resident reports, we've been instructed to restrict suspicious persons. Martha's face turned pale. Me, a suspicious person? The vice president of this area's charity committee? You mean the former vice president? The driver's words dealt another blow. At the luxury real estate office in Scottsdale. Ms. Miller, we've already had 15 appointment cancellations since this morning. Laura's hands trembled at her secretary's report. The reason? The clients said. The secretary carefully chose her words. We cannot entrust multimillion-dollar properties to an agent lacking moral integrity. The phone rang in the office. Another contract disappeared. Outside the window stretched a view of luxury homes. What was once her pride now seemed only ironic. A message from Michael. The secretary lowered her voice. He wants to enter divorce proceedings. A new notification arrived on her phone. Notice of expulsion from Phoenix Luxury Real Estate Association. Meanwhile, in the Phoenix Academy boardroom, all those in favor of immediately revoking Martha Brown's honorary faculty title. Unanimous raised hands. Then, her name from the school history. The chairman's words resonated heavily. In the Desert Botanical Garden Charity Committee room. This is unprecedented. The chairman read the statement. Years of trust have been overturned. Acts contrary to our principles. Especially while advocating support for children with disabilities, in reality. The venue fell silent. I hereby declare Martha Brown's permanent expulsion. Reporter's camera flashes lit up. In the Arizona Biltmore lobby. I apologize, Ms. Brown. The manager announced with a stern expression. The year-end charity gala reservation and your membership. Martha couldn't speak. 30 years of membership disappeared in an instant. Martha's home study. At dusk. On the desk, piles of envelopes. All with similar contents. Dear Martha. I must put an end to our association. Letters of severance from former friends. Notices of expulsion from social circles. Revocation of charity organization qualifications. Outside the window, the sunset was dyeing Scottsdale red. Then, the maid brought the final envelope. From the Phoenix Symphony Association. No need to open it. The contents were predictable. The study's silence was broken by Laura's scream. Mom. Emma. Emma. Laura ran in crying, holding her smartphone. Michael is demanding custody. In the study, surrounded by luxury furniture, Martha looked up at the ceiling. The Phoenix Best Charity Leader Award plaque on the wall now cast an ironic glow. Outside, Paradise Valley's streetlights were beginning to light up one by one. But they could no longer illuminate the darkness in this house. Martha poured the last champagne with trembling hands. Their world had crumbled silently. 1 year later, winter. Phoenix General Hospital Pediatric Ward. Head Nurse Wilson, please give us the progress report for the patient in room 3. Amy read the records with a confident expression. 6 months after her promotion, her new white coat bore a name tag reading, Head Pediatric Nurse. Mom. Noah's voice came running down the hallway. The fully recovered boy's cheeks had regained their healthy color. His brown eyes seemed to shine even brighter than before. I finished my homework. And you know what? Just then, another voice chimed in. Noah, wait up. Emma came running after him. Spending weekends with her father Michael had become her routine. The two children had grown even closer than before. Michael approached with a smile. Amy, good work today. I was thinking of taking the kids to a movie. Why don't you join us? Amy gently shook her head. Thank you, but I have the night shift today. Watching the children run off, Amy reflected. 1 year since the accident. Everything had changed since that day. Albuquerque, New Mexico. A room in an old apartment building. This is the last box. Martha set the box down in a corner of the modest room. Most of her once luxurious furnishings had been sold to pay off debts. All that remained were a few photographs and mementos. The window offered a bleak view, unimaginably different from her Paradise Valley mansion. On the table, a local newspaper showed articles about her former friends' lavish parties. Just a small mention in the corner of Phoenix Social News. Her name would never appear there again. Her cell phone vibrated. The monthly call from Laura. Mom. I saw Emma today. Laura had moved to a small town about 2 hours' drive from Albuquerque. After the divorce was finalized, Michael had won custody. Visitation rights were all she had left. Is Emma doing well? Martha's voice trembled. Yes, but... Laura's voice caught. She wouldn't call me a mom. Silence lingered. Michael might be getting remarried. Laura's voice faded into the distance. After the call ended, Martha opened an old album. Glorious days in society. Smiling faces at charity events. All now distant memories. In a new residential area on the outskirts of Phoenix. Is this okay? Amy turned the key to their new home. A modest but warm single-family house. Wow. There's a backyard. Noah ran out. We could put a swing set there. Amy smiled. Sunday afternoon. A new family had gathered in the living room. Noah and Emma were working on homework at the table. Michael was brewing coffee while helping the children with math. New photos adorned the walls. One from the hospital Christmas party. Amy, Noah, Emma, Michael. And Amy's colleagues. Hey, look at this. Emma pulled out an envelope. Inside was a letter from Laura. Dear Emma, Mom is truly sorry. Back then, I was trapped by vanity and pretense. Emma quietly placed the letter on the table. The reply. I'm still thinking about it. Michael gently embraced his daughter. No need to rush. Take your time and be honest with your feelings. Just then, the doorbell rang. A delivery person had a package. Opening it revealed an appointment letter from Mayo Clinic Hospital. Amy's medical skills had been recognized, and she was being offered a transfer as a pediatric specialist nurse. Congratulations! Michael offered his congratulations. Amy hugged her son. Let's keep doing our best together. Outside the window, the Arizona sunset gently colored the city. No more shadows remained in anyone's heart. A new family's story was beginning here. In a place where genuine love could grow. In the warm light, far removed from pretense and vanity.